All right. Let me do a little intro for you real quick.
Is that a test? I mean, you leaving to see if I'm going to pick my nose or get up and piss in a glass or something while you're gone? I was just curious.
No, I just I was hoping maybe something.
Yeah, Faust. That's an excellent last name. By the way.
Yeah. Thank you.
Faust has made a deal with a very important person.
Yeah. Made a deal with the devil.
With the devil.
You know, that Johann George Faust, the character in Goethe's book, is actually based on a real guy. And theoretically, I think I'm related to that guy.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, my family comes from Bavaria. I think it's Bavaria, and there's actually a Faust castle out there and everything.
Right. Well, awesome. Well, to give you fair warning, I mean, if you're not become fast friends and we cut a deal later in the future, don't blame me for it,
okay? Yeah, I might be able to put you in touch with some people in the underworld. All right, well, let me introduce you real quick. I think most people that follow my show probably already know who you are, but for any new people that might start following, I want to make sure that I give you a proper introduction. All right, so on today's episode, I've got a guest that is most notably famous for creating the first ever virus scan for desktop computers back in 1987. He ran for the presidency in 2016 on the Libertarian ticket. He is a cryptocurrency enthusiast, a yogi, a father to 47 speculated children, and most recently, for the second time, a fugitive from justice, you could say. And this is John McAfee I'm talking about. Nice to have you on the show.
Well, thank you. I would take issue with fugitive from justice. I would call it fugitive from injustice, but
yeah,
however you would like to name it, that's fine.
So I guess I just want to start out with what is your current situation? I mean, I know that in January earlier this year, you said that you announced that you were basically on the run from the federal government because of IRS related issues.
That's correct.
And those are all tied into your 2020 presidential campaign, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I'm running on the libertarian ticket. Many libertarians, most of them, believe that income taxes are illegal, and they are. We had no income taxes till 1913 when Congress was going, how do we raise more money? Well, I don't know. Why don't we live off the fruits of everybody's labor? Well, that's unconstitutional. I mean, the Constitution clearly states Congress shall pass no laws to inhibit or impair a person's ability to earn a living. Well, fuck me, if you got to work for 3 months for the government for free, I'd say that impairs your ability to make a living. But I'm not going to beat a dead horse. So,
so what's it like living on the land?
It's very pleasant. You know, Janice and I are always in very beautiful locations, living in quite comfortable accommodations. I mean, right now, I mean, you can see. I'm living in a Faraday cage. If you can see
We're communicating from a Faraday.
We are not living in here. We are communicating from. We spend a couple hours a day in this room. We carry no phones. We carry no electronics. So really, in this day and age, we've lost the ability to find somebody that can't be found electronically. So our communications room is a Faraday cage. We have an 8-channel signal jammer back there in the corner that makes sure in case the cage leaks, still nothing's going to get in or out that's meaningful. Now you say, well, God, that's crimping your style. No, I don't think so. Slapping one of these together is a half-day job, right? So, and I am. People call me, some of them say legendary. Well, who gives a shit? But I am one of the top 10, at the very least, cybersecurity specialists. And you can't be a cybersecurity specialist without understanding completely what tools a cyber enemy might use. Well, fuck me, I know every tool. I invented half of them. And so please try and
Who better to evade the law then, right?
What's that?
I said, who better to evade the law than you yourself?
Well, I'm not invading the law. The law is invading my life in unjust, unconstitutional, oppressive, corrupt laws. Yes, fuck yes. However, I'm the guy for this job. That's for sure.
So this isn't the first time that you've been on the lam. You had a situation that I don't know if you want to talk about it or not, but you had a situation in Belize.
I'll talk about anything except the allegations that I ate all of those children in Cincinnati in 1993. That was not me.
Of
Okay.
course it was in Cincinnati, man. I'm from Dayton and my dad lives in Cincinnati.
Where else would it be? Think about it. So no,
Ohio is a crazy state, man. I think that sometimes people say that Florida is the most wild state in the country, but man, go to Ohio, see what's going on out there.
Cincinnati is the most repressed city in America.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, right across the river in Kentucky is Sin City that rivals Las Vegas. I'm telling you, because all that pent up energy from the Cincinnati population flows across.
Oh yeah,
the
people
weekend.
go right across the Ohio River and they go gamble on the boat and they do
they do things they can't do in Cincinnati. I mean, Cincinnati is a very safe town, except on weekends when all of Cincinnati is in Kentucky. Just don't be in Kentucky.
I used to live in Kentucky too.
We got to ask a question. You're going to ask me about Belize and all the times I've been detained and so on. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious what it's like because I've never myself been on the run from the government. I mean, I've run from the police a handful of times, but never the actual federal government. And I can imagine that's kind of nerve-wracking.
Well, I mean, let me give you a recent example. So 3.5 months ago, Janice and I and my staff were in Cuba, and Cuba basically said, you got to leave. I mean, the U.S. government wants you. We don't want to turn you over. Just go away, which we did. We went to the Dominican Republic. We got there. We were surrounded by soldiers from the special forces of their interior department. So we didn't get to see customs or immigrations. Totally illegal, right? They said, you have undeclared weapons. I go, well, yes, they're undeclared. You haven't let me talk to customs, you pricks. But anyway, so we're there for 4 days. Jail in the Dominican Republic, I can't recommend. Maybe Janice can. She was in the cell block next to mine. What do you think, baby? No. It's a no. It's uncertain. I mean, if you want a jail experience, go to Pocatello, Idaho. I mean, the jails are clean, the food is decent, and they don't keep the.
Are you there?
I think so. I don't see you, but hang on a second. There we go. Okay, my apologies. Are you going to put a do not disturb or something? Thank you, baby.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no.
Yes,
no worries.
Janice is my audio visual techie.
I'm not very good at it.
Well, neither am I. I mean, so that was a Skype call, I think. My apologies. In any case, I do not recommend Dominican Republic jails. No windows, rusted iron bars. Good God, we were so fortunate though. We had mattresses, or a couple anyway, in the block that we were in. That's a rarity in third world jails. I've been in many of them. I promise you, that is like, oh, I walked in and go, oh my God, guys, fucking mattresses. I just laid down. I was like, oh, thank God. Anyway.
Is it air conditioned in there? Because the problem I've always had.
Air conditioning. There's no fucking windows. There's no.
Yeah, I was. Well, I've every time I've been to jail, they put the air conditioning on. I don't know, 47 degrees, and it's.
Well, yeah, that's American jail. That's American jails, except in Pocatello. So if you're going to get arrested in America and
go to Idaho,
to death, go to Idaho, Iowa, Idaho, whatever. In any case, that was one. Now, what happened? The U.S. government, after we snuck out of Cuba, the CIA had made a deal with the Dominican Republic to return us. How do I know? Because at the very end, after 4 days, here's how it works. They figure John McAfee's, well-known entrepreneur. We put him in one of our sinkholes for a few days. That motherfucker's going to soften up. Well, I didn't soften up. I just laughed. I mean, I got a fucking mattress. Why shouldn't I be laughing? I've been in jails for much longer without a mattress. So no, didn't give a shit. However, after 4 days, they took us out. They brought us to immigration. They said, you have to go to America. I go, no, I didn't come from America. Here's my fucking U.S. passport, Sam. I came from Cuba, and from Cuba, I came from the Bahamas. You can't send me back to America. They said, we have to. I go, and by then I had lawyers. My lawyers were with me. I pulled out a British passport, which I have. I'm dual citizenship.
Right.
Nothing illegal in that. Pulled out another passport and said, I want to go to England. They said, I'm sorry, you have to go to America. So I took my lawyers aside and said, I want you to file a brief with the Dominican Republic Judiciary demanding that they hear my case before they ship me anywhere. Well, what are they going to do? They have to hear it. I mean, it's in the goddamn news worldwide. John McAfee arrested in the Dominican Republic. They can't deny to hear what I have to say. That's the beauty of a tripartite government. As soon as my lawyers got that, now the way they got that, they said, it's going to take us 2 hours to get that. And I go, don't worry, I got it. Within a minute, I went over and I talked to Janice and I said, don't panic, baby. Everything is cool and under control. I then went back and collapsed on the floor in convulsions. Now, that was me acting, right? I mean, this has worked a couple of times for me. Janice, who didn't quite get the clue when I said everything's okay, was over panicking. And I'm trying to assure her that quietly, listen, this is just part of the act, okay? So they took me to the hospital. And they brought Janice. Then they were going to deport Janice without me. But as soon as I told the lawyers to file this brief, all hell broke loose. Because had it gone actually to the courts, the government of the Dominican Republic and half of America, Washington, would collapse. This is a CIA fucking setup. It was documented with their own cameras, which had already been confiscated by the judiciary, showing that, yeah, we had the weapons laid out on the fucking table. We were waiting for customs. We were never allowed to talk to customs. Therefore, I was never allowed to declare them. Therefore, how can they be fucking illegal?
Right. So you're saying that the CIA was intervening?
Yes, of course they were intervening.
Okay.
They tried to get me out of Cuba. Cuba warned me. Cuba's not a friend of America. I was warned with Janice in tow. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. There's Janice, by the way. Okay. I was warned with Janice in tow. They took us to an immigration center, and a general came in with an interpreter and said, Miss McAfee, we are so sorry. We know you're here to help the Cuban people, which I was. But the U.S. government has requested your extradition. We are not going to comply. If you would just leave, then you relieve us of the burden. And I go, okay. And they said, and you have 72 hours to do so.
They only gave you 3 days?
Yeah, this is some heavy shit going on. So yeah,
Right.
3 days. So 72 hours, man, we had the fucking boat ready. We were out and off to the Dominican Republic. The CIA was one step ahead, but I'm always one step ahead in the strategic game. And I knew that the Dominican Republic had a democratic system with a fucking separation of powers. Once I got into the judiciary, which they had accepted, and by the way, they took me to the hospital, they brought Janice back, they didn't deport her, they heard what I was planning, and suddenly everything shifted. My lawyers showed up at the hospital with the writ where the Dominican courts had said, you may not ship Mr. McAfee anywhere without his volition until the courts have heard this. It changed from one night we're in a jail with rusted iron bars and no fucking windows, but mattresses, good shit. The next night, they called us to the airport to ship us where? England, where I asked to go. They said, where do you want to go? Please leave. We went. So they took us to the VIP room where the ambassadors and shit, and they're serving us tea and wine, and the waiters are all dressed up. It's like, fuck me, night and day. Why? Had this gone through the courts and all of this come out and said, oh, well, how did this fucking happen that you intercepted this man before he entered the fucking country? Because until I've cleared customs, I'm not even in the Dominican Republic. I'm on a fucking yacht in international waters. And so we won that. Now that I understand the lengths to which the CIA will go, and the CIA, the IRS, the SEC, military intelligence, it's all one fucking monster. It's all the same thing. So we got to England. Thank God we got there on a weekend, because England, unfortunately, is what? America's best friend. And if a call from an ambassador shows up and says, please collect Mr. McAfee and send him to us, I go back. But I showed up on a weekend, and Janice and I showed up on a weekend. You try and get anything through a government on a weekend, including collecting an international terrorist like John McAfee. Well, it's just not happening.
Yeah, good luck.
And so we left early the next morning to parts unknown, with the help of many friends and traversing through more countries than I can fucking count, and we are in safety. Now, I'm unfortunately at the point where, as the CIA is deadly serious, I'm communicating from a Faraday cage. But the rest of it is fantastic.
With all this happening, are you still going to run? You're still campaigning for 2020 for president, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, duh. Nothing's happening yet. Good God, it's too early. Wait till the first quarter next year, and you'll see McAfee on the front lines spewing all kinds of ugly things at everybody.
That's what I like to hear.
Not my competitors, but the system itself.
So are you still going to run on the libertarian ticket then?
Of course, they have ballots in all 50 states. It's costing tens of millions. Why should I duplicate that? Sure.
Well, I just saw something that said you were thinking about running on your own party. I didn't know how accurate that was.
God, you know how expensive that is? That's $50 million. By the way, shouldn't this tell you something? It does cost tens of millions to be a president of this country.
I mean,
president makes less than $1 million a year. Ask yourself why anybody in their right fucking mind would spend 50 times as much as you're going to make from the job. You got to know there's something more there
than just the position. I mean, if you spend $50 million to be a public servant, that doesn't make any sense.
No, fuck me. Here's what we need. We need a system where we elect people who refuse to do the job. We need to elect a president who goes, I don't want that fucking job. No, but you're going to be the best one for it. I am sorry. You got to give up 4 years of your life. No, that's what we need.
I would agree with that.
Pushing people to do what we know they do best.
Because if you get somebody in there that wants to be there, they're going to use that and to further their self-interest, right?
Duh.
Yeah. I would agree. I think that's basic human principles.
If you spend $50 million for something you want, good God almighty, that thing ought to come with some incredible rewards, which it does. And it's those rewards which are the problem. So it does not matter who the fucking president is. They're going to sit in that chair and go, how do I get mine? This is politics in America.
What do you think about somebody like Trump? What do you think his deal is? What's your take on him?
I don't care. I mean, I really don't. He's a president. Do you realize that presidents come into office and they spend 4 years, maybe 8, and they're dealing with career people who are not fucking elected people, by the way. They are
appointed.
Party leaders, yes, not elected, behind the scenes, and they walk in and they're surrounded by people who go, hi, I'm John Smith with the CIA. Here's the situation. You're here for 4 years. I've worked here for 35. I know so much more than you. You need to depend on my
Expertise.
my expertise. And then let me introduce you to the head of military intelligence and the head of the NSA.
And so on and so on.
And so on. And sir, so we wish you the best, but for the good of this nation, listen to us. Now, what happens if you don't listen to us? John F. Kennedy, for example.
Or any of the number of people on the Clinton body count?
That's a much lower level of assassination, not worthy of comment. That is so personal that it's not worthy of attention, comment, or anything else.
How about this? Can you comment on Epstein? What's your take on that situation? You think he killed himself?
Well, absolutely, he killed himself. I mean, you know, he's 6 feet tall, 6'1". He hung himself from a 5'7" bunk in a fashion that broke his neck in multiple places, equivalent to what happens when you're forcibly strangled.
So
listen, let me finish, please. God, this is important. I mean, I know some shit about this. 6 hours before, his cellmate was transferred to a different fucking cell. 3 hours before, the guards on his block were relieved of duty because of cleaning.
mm-hmm.
The video cameras were oddly misaligned and somehow did not see what's going on. Good God Almighty, wake up. Yes, if he was not murdered, then 2 + 2 is 22.
Yeah. You know, and I also believe that his cellmate prior to being transferred was that cop from New York that was convicted of being a murderer for hire. And didn't Epstein also have a previous, you know, suicide attempt a few days before that when that
It was not suicide. Well, he claimed it wasn't suicide.
Right.
They put him on suicide watch, which, oh, that's another thing. 8 hours before, they took him off the suicide watch.
Yeah.
So
it's laughable. I don't think the general American public believed it.
He claimed people were trying to kill him. Well, yeah. I mean, he has data on the most powerful and malicious people on this planet.
Right.
Of course, someone is trying to kill him, and they succeeded. That's Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
Next.
All right, next question. Okay, so I gotta ask you these questions because I'm doing a project for class, and I'm also generally interested in this. I'll give you a little background. In Austin, Texas, the city council passed a camping ordinance, amendment to a camping ordinance allowing those that are homeless to sleep on any piece of public property, with the exception of City Hall, naturally. And I've been going around town interviewing the homeless folks and recording video and just kind of shooting the shit with them like I'm talking to you right now. And the large majority of the Austin public is not happy with the ordinance. They're saying it's causing sort of a public health concern with needles and filth and garbage in the streets. And the camps are set up underneath the bridges. And in general, there's been a rise in violent crimes. If you were the mayor of Austin, Texas, or any city that has a homeless problem, like maybe Seattle, Portland, or LA, what would you do regarding a camping ordinance like this?
My first question would be, do you have to be homeless in order to execute that right? Because there are times when Janice gets so angry at me, I got to go to sleep on a park bench. So if I'm also allowed to sleep on the same bench or to camp, then what the fuck is wrong with it? Nothing. Now, if only the homeless, and they'll go, if the police come around and go, I want to see your homeless card. Well, then I think that's fucked up. But if I can also do it, or you and maybe the kids on weekends, let's go to the camp and park. We get to talk to all these homeless people. Well, fuck yes, I'm all for it.
Okay.
I'm being serious. Right?
Okay. No, I appreciate the genuine answer there. The reason I bring it up is because I think that generally the city council is kind of skewing it as if they're trying to decriminalize homelessness, which they are, I would say, effectively doing. But they're also trying to say that they want to help the homeless people and get them into housing. And I'm not seeing any way that I don't even want to say allowing, enabling them to sleep in their own filth isn't necessarily helping these people. You know, if they were more blunt about it and honest and said, hey, we're leaving these people to their own you know, abilities, then I would respect it a little bit more.
All right, let's get honest with each other for a change. Nobody gives a fuck about a local ordinance about how to help the homeless. The question is, why?
Why are they doing it?
3 million homeless in the richest country ever to inhabit this earth. Do you see what's happening? The same thing that governments always do. Well, let's give you something to look at, which is totally inconsequential. So you forget the fact that these people are fucking homeless. That's the problem. Not can they sleep in a park or not? Fuck that shit. They're homeless. Millions in this country today. Check under a fucking bridge if you don't believe me. And we ignore it. We are indignant when those people which have been marginalized by our fucking system ask to sleep in a park. Fuck all ordinances. Homeless people should be able to sleep wherever they goddamn well please.
So how do we help them get back into housing and get themselves together?
I'm sorry?
I said, how do we help these people to get back into housing if they want it? I mean, I've talked to a lot of these guys and they don't even want a housing, but how do we help them get their life on track so they're not, you know, going down this black hole?
Throw a monkey wrench in the system. The system is broken. It's the system creating the homeless.
You mean like
it's the executives of McDonald's and Monsanto and our fucking congressmen and presidents and so on that are sucking up our resources. This is the problem, not what to do with them, but why are they there? Our system is fucked.
why? So
Fix the system and the homelessness will be fucked. Will be fixed. Fucked. Fixed.
what aspect of the system are you referring to that's fucking them?
Where do you want me to start? Shall I start at the top?
Yeah, go for it.
I intimated it earlier when I said that presidents have no power. What power do they fucking have? We're dealing with a world. He has to worry about conflicts in the Middle East, immigration, finance, which he doesn't understand, world political alliances, wars. He doesn't know anything. Probably doesn't speak Arabic or Farsi. Probably does not know the intimate details of the religions, political alliances, history, customs. Can't do shit without what? Advisors. Who are the real advisors? Not the ones he picks from some random population sampling. No. They're the covert agencies that control all of the information in this country. Now, if we want to talk about a problem in the system, we should start there. We have a democracy
with misinformation?
No, a democracy with no power. The democracy that started with our Constitution has been brought to its knees by two things: financial systems and covert agencies. Think about the power of a covert agency. Mr. President, we can't tell you what's going on because, unfortunately, sir, you're here for just a few years and you do not have a need to know. Therefore, in interest of national security, we can't tell you. Tell me who has the power, the covert agency or the president? Use your heads, people. This is the start of the corruption within our system. Give me a level and I'll talk about it there, but it goes all the way down to the fact that millions of our citizens have been marginalized to the point that they live under bridges.
So you'd say allowing them to sleep under there is a good thing, and that is obviously, I mean, it's better than making them move around and not be able to sleep anywhere. I would agree with that, but I think
I
that
don't know if it's a good thing. I don't know if it's a good thing to let them sleep there or not. I'm saying, why are we even thinking about it when we live in a system of such monumental corruption that nothing can be fixed until the system is fixed?
Well,
We're looking at the wrong thing. We're looking at if you've got smallpox in an open sore and the doctor only sees the one sore, it goes, oh, let's deal with this sore. You're getting nowhere.
So let me broaden the perspective here. This is a theory that a couple people have thrown out, is that when the city council passed this ordinance, it was to actually it was supposed to be incendiary. And they're saying that they wanted the problem to become worse, at least visually, so that they could get this bid passed to build a new homeless shelter that's going to cost millions of dollars, and it only has a couple, like maybe a couple hundred beds in it. And of course, the government, the local government, is contracting these bids out to build these buildings to their friends, to friends of the city council. So is that more what you're talking about, where we have it's corruption at every level, at the federal level, the state level?
If you have a system, a pyramidal power structure where the top of the pyramid is corrupt, then
everything's corrupt. So we should decentralize the federal government big time. That's a start, right?
That's a complex process. Would it not be better just to throw everybody out? What about we take these homeless people and we vote them into office? Do you think we would live in a worse situation? I promise you we wouldn't.
I think it'd be about the same.
Pardon?
I'd say it'd probably be about the same. I mean,
I think it would be better. I think that it would take them years to establish the power connections, that network, that spider web.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
In
the sense of
until they can do that, let me tell you, our government has been shut down sometimes for months. Has anything in your life changed?
No, not at all. Not at all. When that most recent government shutdown.
If we sent them all home for a year, nothing would change. This is our fucking problem. So let's get rid of them and put derelicts in, the homeless under the bridges. You, sir, we're doing a raffle, or we're picking numbers. Aha, you're president, you're vice president. Aha, you are the Speaker of the House, and on down. I promise you our system would not be any worse.
I think it would be about as gridlocked as it is now.
Well, yes, it is totally gridlocked. People go, well, we have to have experience in our government. What experience? It's only the experience of taking money from your pocket.
Yeah, career politicians.
And putting it into theirs. That's the only experience they have. And to do that, they use deception and disinformation and lies, propaganda, emotional pulls, whatever they have to do. In the end, it's the same thing. More money leaves your pocket and more money enters theirs. That is what has to stop.
So is that why you're a big proponent of crypto? Because it disrupts the system?
Of course it is. It disrupts the financial system, which is the foundation of everything. Without the US dollar, without fiat currency, and you're in America, you can't pay your rent, buy a car, send your kids to school, get medical care, buy clothes, nothing. The fiat controls your life, and those who control that currency control you. They can deflate it, or inflate it by 50%, meaning half of everything you have ever worked for is now devalued.
Right.
By 50%. Or they can monitor who you're sending this money to overseas, or what are these checks coming through, every aspect of your financial life.
And this is all controlled through the Federal Reserve, right? Interest rates and whatnot.
The feds, the banks, the SEC, the IRS, of course, all controlled by this.
How did these institutions even come to be in a country like the United States, where we're supposed to have these checks and balances set up to prevent this from happening?
That's a hard question. First one you bet. All right. So how does some nightmare like this, what's happening in America today, how does it come about? I mean, started by some extremely bright people, some almost 300 years ago, 250 years ago, with a monumentally beautiful idea, self-governance. And the Constitution they put together was fucking fantastic. What happened is, because people are people and power is power, power corrupts those people at the top, always. And absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so as our government grew, this is the problem, government growing.
It always grows. Government always grows.
It ought to diminish itself. It ought to get better at what it does and go, we need 100,000 less people this year. No, fuck no. We need a million more.
Right. Because if it was truly efficient, it would shrink. There'd be less of a need for it.
We know this.
Right.
We know this. Okay. You start a shoe store, making shoelaces, and at first it's difficult, and then you get used to it. Then you teach somebody. Soon you got 3 people, and suddenly, good God Almighty, I don't need all of this money and support to keep going. No, it doesn't. It does the reverse. And because people are people what is a government? It's composed
of people,
individuals. And what an individual is what a government is, only magnified. Let me give you examples. You get into a fight at a bar, anger, fight. You get a broken nose at worst, and then you have a beer and make up. What happens when governments get in fights? Millions are destroyed. Lives are lost. Entire cultures vanish from the earth. Let's look at greed. When people get greedy, you invite them over for a turkey. Are you there?
Yeah.
It's another joke, right?
Yeah. No, I'm here. I'm grabbing a beer.
Look like you were masturbating in the corner. I mean, it's okay.
I only do that on weekends.
Fair enough. But when people get greedy, if you invite them for Thanksgiving dinner, they eat all the food. You just don't fucking invite them anymore. When governments get greedy, entire regions are annexed or taken, and people starve by the millions. Governments are people magnified, and all of our negative traits, greed and fear and envy and jealousy, all of these things are magnified. What's not magnified are the good things. Compassion, love, joy.
You don't think that's ever magnified as well? Ever?
Let me ask you something. In your dealings with the government, has compassion increased? Has generosity increased? No. Corruption denies the positive and accentuates the negative. That's what corruption is. I mean, otherwise,
I'm trying to be an optimist here a little bit, which I never am. So I'm playing devil's advocate.
You may play whatever you wish, but you cannot thwart or distort reality. Open your eyes. Look around you. Where is the generosity and love from our? When's the last time you felt loved
from the government? Never.
Yes.
Never. They just throw me in jail and take all my money.
Can we stop there then, rather than going through the litany? Because that is a positive. Corruption denies the positive and accentuates the negative. Greed, fear, jealousy, lust, desire, that's magnified. Everything else is diminished.
So what would be, if we had no government, wouldn't there also still be a lot of greed and chaos and whatnot?
Yeah. No, I'm not saying we will ever get rid of human greed and jealousy and anger and violence. Fuck no. It's going to be with us forever. It's in our genes. I mean, maybe in 50,000 years we will gene it out, but no, it's here. It's part of us. No, I don't want to get rid of it. There's nothing wrong with it. It was created for survival purposes, and we need it. So leave that shit alone. What we need is a system where those attributes cannot function. And please God, what is the number one quality of most cryptocurrencies? Trustless systems. A system built by mathematics and managed by mathematics, so that when you deal with another person, you don't have to know them, you don't have to know anything about them. Smart contracts prevent you from being harmed by bad actors.
Right.
And let's talk about people who gain great power with the correct cryptocurrency systems. You can develop a system in which you can get as rich as you fucking want. But no matter how rich you are, you have no power over anyone else. Do you understand?
You're saying that crypto is currency where you can get rich, but it's preventing anyone from gaining some sort of absolute power from it?
If we structure it properly, and we've already done that with our distributed exchange, it's fucking there. Costs nothing to list. We don't control it. We can't stop it. Our source is open. When the SEC comes and says, you broke the laws, I go, I'm sorry. However, it's on the blockchain. It can't ever be fixed. My apologies. Let me make an exchange for you. No, that's it. It can't be changed. So you tell me that concept of trustless transactions that's offered to you through blockchains and smart contracts could not change this problem forever. Be as evil as you want. That's your fucking business. All right. And in your home, do as you wish, providing people come in voluntarily and leave voluntarily, then do as you wish. But you can own 90% of the world's wealth and you still have no control over my financial situation. Do you understand the difference?
So let me also ask you this. Do you think that, okay, so we've got, you set up a system here where we have cryptocurrency and people are unable to really gain extreme power, but while they can still own a large portion of the world's wealth. And you don't think that that's possible to if it's structured properly, it won't be corrupted. Do you think that, like you said, in 50,000 years, if people were to evolve in a certain way, do you think that we would ever be able to evolve past the point of greed and corruption as human beings?
Good God, man. Nobody can answer that.
Nobody can answer that, but I'm asking you because if anybody's going to give a good answer, it's going to be John McAfee.
I can't answer it. I will say this. I think it's highly more likely that within the next 1,000 years, the Earth, which is a living fucking organism if you look at it properly, the Earth will go, you know what? The human experiment,
it's too much.
I think that's kind of like the dinosaur experiment. Let's terminate them. But think about that. What was the dinosaur experiment? If you look at evolution properly, dinosaurs was nothing more than the evolution of the mouth. What was a Tyrannosaurus Rex? A dinosaur with a mouth so big that its arms had to be shrunk to nothing. It was a mouth. It was a mouth on legs. I believe that the spirit, I don't give a shit what you call it, that the dynamic of evolution on this earth goes, whoa, dude. I mean, that's a serious mouth on the Tyrannosaurus Rex. But isn't it boring? Let's terminate that plan and do something else. And then comes along the human brain. And someone goes, yeah, what a great idea. Grasping the reality of its own existence. Wouldn't that be fun? But then all this shit happens. And then they're going to go, that brain, who thought of the brain idea? Fuck that shit. Terminate the brain test. And let's go with how far can something jump let's see what legs are. Let's make an animal that's all leg. I don't know. I think that's more probable, by the way, than human beings transforming into gods, because that's what we would
That's
be.
what it would be.
We lost all of our negative qualities.
You think we would be more likely to basically all become extinct and die than to transcend greed?
Yes, that's my thing. It's far more likely that we just become extinct rather than evolve into superhumans.
Okay, well then, okay, I got a question for you. There's a lady at the
By the way,
UN.
we're out of time. Is it
We are?
$30? Is it $30 a minute over or 40, baby? Is it $40 a minute over? That's fine.
Oh,
I'm pulling it.
All right. Well, I'll shell it out. I'll shell it out. Oh, it's late at night for you?
Fuck yes. We're in the middle of the morning. Okay.
Gotcha.
Where are you located?
I'm in Austin, Texas.
We're 11 hours ahead of you.
Gotcha. Well, you got some time on me then, because I just woke up this morning, cut some audio for my class, and then I'm skipping. I was supposed to go on a trip to the Spectrum News here in Austin and for a class, and I was like, "Fuck that! I'd rather talk to John McAfee and drink some beers."
Well, fair enough. I'm glad you did that. I'm enjoying this.
My teacher understood, I think.
No, it's early morning for us, okay? And to be quite frank with you, the weed we smoked is wearing off. And my heroin injection is coming up in 10 minutes, because every hour on the hour, I shoot heroin. So Janice always hates it when I joke like this, because she's thinking, oh, by the way, the podcast before you, whoever it was, said, let's open this up for audience questions. Oh yeah, it was the blockchain conference in Las Vegas. And the guy says, let's open up for questions. And I go, oh, I don't take questions from the audience. Well, he actually believed it. And somehow my audio cut off. And I was going, oh, it's a joke. It's a joke. And
he didn't catch any of that?
No.
Hey, I was going to ask you about this lady at the UN, Maria Fernanda Espinosa Garces, something like that. She was warning back in March that we had 11 years until there's an inadvertible catastrophe that'll end human life on Earth. Do you believe that?
Do I believe that? Of all the things I could possibly believe about what might happen in the future, I'm going to choose a one that ends in 11 years. Unlikely. I mean, you know, if she'd given between 11 and 30, might have been more likely, but 11 years, no. She needs to stop taking drugs.
So you think a lot of a lot of this stuff where they give these timelines, oh, humanity's going to end, we're all going to fucking die. You think a lot of that's just fear mongering, or it's embellished, or what is your take on that?
How old are you, my friend? I just want to know.
I'm only 26, but I've read some of this stuff.
You're a professional student. I'm sorry, I forgot. Okay, I understand where you're coming from. Let me say something about human nature, which you may not have observed yet. Humans love to fuck with other humans. I don't know why, they just do. People who fake being kidnapped by a flying saucer and tell these absolutely graphic stories about it, and then later on find out it was a what? Hoax.
Mm-hmm.
Hoaxes are just fun. I mean, everybody would like to do a hoax. So if someone says in 11 years the humanity is going to end, my question is, show me your crystal fucking ball. Or show me the alien that told you this, or tell me about the more subtle details of the nightmare that you got this information from, because this shit does not happen. People can perceive. I mean, listen, I know where technology is going, and it ain't pretty, but I don't know when. I mean, fuck me. Depends on people and their resistance levels and the morass of social networks and loves and hates, and I don't like this person, but I do like this, and then an overburdened, corrupt government which is reproduced around the world, and fuck me, no one can tell. I mean, if we had quantum computers, we could not predict it. But you can certainly see trends. And the trends are, we are headed, I can promise you this is my prediction. We are headed for absolute slavery as average members of the population, unless we wake the fuck up and do something now. I mean, you're in social media, people. I mean, I'm talking to your audience and you. You're in social media. Look at the power of that. You got 30 followers. Tell them all to wake up and ask them to wake up their followers. Do something. Carry a sign in the street. Walk naked through the park yelling, I've had enough. Do something. Don't sit there and wait for the inevitable.
I try to be pretty, I don't know what the word would be, maybe blunt, straightforward, whatever. People call me all sorts of things, but I try to say things that are jarring so that people will pay attention to what I'm saying, not necessarily because I might have the right answers or really even know what I'm talking about, but I like to start conversations. I think that's how I help people to at least open their eyes to different viewpoints.
Well, I mean, that works. I mean, sometimes if I'm speaking and everybody's just falling asleep and I'm at a conference, I might say something like, and the last time I had anal intercourse with a donkey 3 months ago, I want to tell you now, the $35 fine, I think that was not correct. And just see if people are listening. Okay.
Hey, you know, how does Janice deal with you, man? Because I also have, I got a question for her. Let me ask her. You come on the podcast?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, baby.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello.
How you doing?
There's a lady. Ask her how Janice deals with
how do you deal with him? Because I also myself, I have a baby mama out in California, and she thinks I'm absolutely fucking insane.
That puts you in a specific generation right away. Anyway,
well, let me tell you, I love her to death, and I don't know how she deals with me either. I mean, I'm fucking nuts. Like something's wrong with me. How do you deal with John? How do you deal with him?
I smoke a lot of weed.
So does my son's mom.
I used to be an alcoholic, so
she did. Good God, but not for long. About 2 years. It was an ugly period. I want to listen. Even at the greatest of times, like 4 years ago, it was an ugly period.
Listen, you see this person, right? This is a handful, okay?
It's
a
what?
handful and a half, all right? It's not an easy task to be partnered with this beautiful mess of a man.
Beautiful mess of a man. That's what I'm going to title this episode.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these offhanded compliments. I think I'm never sure.
I've learned from the best.
Not until later at night, when she says you're not sleeping in here tonight. Go to the park with the homeless people, and I grab a pillow.
Yeah. Well, that's. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on the show to talk to me. I think that you're easily the biggest guest I've ever had, and like I said, I appreciate the time. I don't want to take up much more of your time because I know you got your heroin injection coming up here in 5 minutes. So
I do. Listen, I'm already 3 minutes past due, and in 2 more minutes I'll turn ugly. So it's about time to stop recording. And by the way, I have enjoyed this. I don't say this to everybody. If you'd like me back on, you need to deal with the boss, Janice. Okay?
I will.
If you deal with me, I'll say yes and forget who the fuck you are. All right. So,
well, hey, you might remember me. I'm Faust. Just remember me as Faust.
You are. I've already got you down, dude. You are Gary Faust, the professional student. I will know exactly.
Oh man, I should have. I'm just gonna drop out of school now, so you can get a better picture of me.
Did I not tell you that being a professional student is the highest of all goals?
I'm a fucking brainiac. What can I say?
Good God Almighty! Because here's the issue: you got no responsibilities, really.
I don't know about that.
Not a lot. I mean,
I got to collect those financial aid checks.
You got a baby mama, but you can change your name, move to another town, it's a piece of cake. So no, that's not the issue. The the issue is you're in school, in college, dude. You get more pussy than God. I mean, I don't care if you're the biggest nerd on the planet. Do not lie to me. I'm looking at you now, and I know you get tons of pussy. And if, by the way, your baby mama's listening, I'm lying here. But,
thank you.
So you got that going for you. You got class. You're sitting back with notes. If you're smart, you said you're a brainiac. You don't even have to listen. 2 days before the final exam, you start studying and you pass it. If you could live that life forever, I'd do it. I'd do it. I mean, I tried for a while. My heart was not in it. I got sucked into computers. But other than that, I would have stayed a student. I'd still be a student. I'm in my postdoctorate program, and I am going to graduate shortly. No, it's perfect. Anyways, my friend, contact Janice if you want me back.
Will do. I appreciate your time.
All right.
See ya.
How do we get out? Hit the leave? Yes.
Hopefully you guys liked the show today. If you did, check out anchor.fm/Faust and Furious to donate a couple bucks. More than likely, you're not going to do that, so just let a couple people know that you like the show. Either way, check me out on social media at Faust_Furious. Thanks for listening.